You're watching the Fox 9 Morning Buzz with Alex Kendall, Kelly O'Connell, and Keith Marler. Now here's what's buzzing.
Still to come, it is the Minnesota-based program reaching people around the country. How the Emily program is making a difference for people affected with eating disorders. And songs, there are millions of Americans and nearly 200,000 Minnesotans who are struggling, many of them silently.
For many people, there is really no good time to talk about an eating disorder, but from Olympic athletes to celebrities and millions more people suffering, the sooner they talk about it, the sooner they talk to someone, the better. So joining us this morning from the Emily program, a Minnesota-based national foundation, Dr. Jillian Lampert. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Chances are people who live here in Minnesota have heard of the program, but what do you guys do? What is the goal, and how does that come to every day in everyday life?
Right, we're really a full-service eating disorder treatment program. So we treat all kinds of eating disorders, all genders, all ages, all everything. So we do eating disorder treatment from your 24/7 care that some people need down to the once-a-week outpatient care that some people need.
And how far-reaching is the Emily program? Where do we serve exactly?
We serve across the country, really. We have 7 locations in Minnesota, so we serve the entire state of Minnesota, including Duluth, and then we're in Washington and Ohio and Pennsylvania. So really, we get people who come from California, from New York, all over the place.
Let's talk about this stereotype, and we were mentioning it. Usually, people think younger women,
right?
Middle school, high school, maybe college girls,
right?
But that's not the case. Granted, those folks do deal with it,
right,
but it's beyond just that.
Right. It really is. It covers the age spectrum. We have people who are 8. We have people who are in their 70s. That eating disorders generally start in childhood or adolescence, but they can really sort of hang on into adulthood if people don't get good treatment. If you get treatment, then you can recover and they can go away and you can live a full life. But
right.
A lot of times people don't get treatment.
And a lot of that is identifying there's a problem.
Right.
So as a family member or as a friend, what should you be looking for to say, you know, this doesn't seem quite right?
Sure. I think when kids start to talk about their bodies, about their eating, worrying about their weight, you know, we sort of take it for granted that maybe that's normal, and maybe it's not so normal. Maybe there's really something to pay attention to there. And when people start to isolate, or they start to skip meals, or they've already eaten, I always tell parents, you know your kid best, and if something seems wrong, check it out.
And you also mentioned, let's not forget that men struggle with this too.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you talk about a lot of guys don't think that they maybe have a problem because they think it's a female thing.
Right. Absolutely. Eating disorders are a biological illness, so they impact everybody, anybody who has that sort of genetic predisposition, and they do impact men. And we have treatment programs that do really well for men.
At what age can symptoms start to kind of show up?
The youngest is usually sort of that older childhood, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oftentimes we see it around 13, 14, 15 when kids go through puberty and start to worry about their bodies and they start changing. So that's usually when it starts to show up, is in that sort of late childhood, early adolescent period.
So as someone who is maybe seeing someone and they say, this just doesn't seem right, how do you approach it? It's an awkward conversation.
Right.
We just talked about it. It's a conversation that needs to be had.
Right.
But how do you approach it without that person kind of turning on you and kind of going away from the issue?
I think it's important to come from an observation perspective of compassion. Like, you know what, I noticed that something seems wrong, whether it's you never seem to eat with us anymore, or you seem really preoccupied about your food or your weight or your body. I'm worried about you. Make it about you, not them. I'm worried about you. If you saw somebody bleeding, you wouldn't wonder, like, should I say anything? Is my place? You'd say, hey, I don't know you, but you're bleeding and you seem to need some help. So that same perspective of, here's what I see. What do you think? I'm worried about you, and what can I do to help you?
Sure. I know that the program is an event coming up in a few days. Pints for Prevention is what you're calling it. So tell us more about that and what you hope people will gain and garner from that.
We're really trying to raise awareness. That's really the foundation. If people know more about these illnesses, they'll recognize more when it happens. So it's a fun event that's really meant to bring people together to start talking about it. That eating disorders still have this stigma that people don't really know if they should talk about it. So talking about it's the first step.
Sure. And when we say pints, are we talking about?
Anything that can come in a pint glass, alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Ice cream?
Ice cream would be great.
Sure.
That's a great idea. There's a beanbag tournament. So it's meant to be a fun time to bring people
Sure.
together to really talk about it.
The good kind of pints.
The good
We like
kind of
that,
pints,
yes.
right?
Awesome. Dr. Lampert, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
An important issue that definitely needs to be addressed. We thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more information, including services that are available, resources, upcoming events there, visit emilyprogramfoundation.org.